Beautiful day in Africa. All right.
Indeed.
Well, indeed, as always, we're now learning how to stream these on Instagram as well and get it out there. Ah, beautiful. Instagram looks good. Everything looks beautiful. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 6 of, funny enough, a trial-based show that Adi and I thought to just start to reach a few people out there in the world in regards to assisting where we possibly can with this whole concept of having a strong mindset. Because if there's two people in the world that know the difference between a weak and a strong mindset as the huge factor behind success, it would be Adi and I. And now we've managed to bring the show up to quite a few viewers, and we are here today on a Wednesday afternoon in beautiful Africa. Adi, what's happening down there by you in Cape Town?
Well, it's a new year. 1 March is the beginning of the new financial year. So the last week was just, we have a few businesses inside the main business these days. So it's all quite complicated. So the honest truth is, I didn't even know that it was Wednesday. I'm still quite traumatized from last week.
Do you still think you're having breakfast with me on the weekend, on Sunday? When did I see you? On Sunday. You're
It
still
was
there.
a fantastic getaway. Very nice indeed. And I'm still I'm trying to decide if my head is still in last year or this year. But I think I always say, if you get out of the year and your head hasn't been taken off your shoulders, you actually had a good year.
I think you could say that about every day. Forget about the year. I think if you manage to get through every day with your head still on your shoulder, you got another beautiful day ahead of you.
Absolutely. And I've got two things that I want to ask tonight. You can choose to discuss them or not. I'm going to mention them.
Go for it.
And then we can elaborate from there. To all the viewers in all the different places, hello and thank you for joining us. You could have chosen to be anywhere, but you have chosen to be with us. So thank you. Question number one: how do we improve? It's question number one. And question number two is, what is impact? Okay.
Yes, so today you're going bigger with two big ones.
Yeah, something that I was discussing with someone on Sunday, and we were talking about impact, and I thought it was quite a good topic. So, please, tell me a little bit about, how do we improve? How do we improve daily? How do we improve monthly and yearly? What does improve really mean?
Well, first, it's what is improve? Because improve would be a different, I think, ideology to every different person. Some people view improvement as they've improved their life through better living, thus wealth. Some people improve their performance in the sport arena, which comes through obviously training. Some people consider improvement that they are healthier. So the fundamental one on improvement, as my co-host, I believe everybody has a different view on it. So I'll leave that one with you. But in regards to the impact one, there I have a lot to say in regards to impact. I like the impact one because I know who you spoke with on Sunday, and I like the impact one, because for me, I have this very, very strong ideology on the concept in itself of immortality is not living thousands of years till you are forever through human existence, you were there. The concept of immortality is the ideology that you live through your name for immortality through centuries and millennials. Now, what I mean by that, it's a perfect example of, let's say, Julius Caesar. This man was buried at least, what, 3,000 years ago? What are we in now? At least 4,000 years ago, longer, 4,000 years, somewhere between there. But to this day, Adi and I are sitting talking about this man, meaning that through his actual impact, the word that you asked, the man made such an everlasting impact on civilization that throughout the generations to follow, the man's name was known for his contribution towards the evolution of humanity. Thus, he left a legacy behind. And for me, that is the breakthrough on impact. Because the word impact in itself is, when you use the word impact, it becomes bigger than you personally in itself. The whole concept of, am I making an impact? You can't say, am I making an impact on me and myself and me in my room at night? Impact is not an individual internal thing. Impact is an external factor. So now if you're looking at impact as an external factor, it becomes that you have to measure it by your impact on humanity. What is your contribution to the evolution of humanity? Whether it's positive, whether it's negative, because we know Julius Caesar, but we also know Pablo Escobar. So it comes down to, what is that fundamental impact that you left behind that people will always know you by? In my culture, we even have a saying that the last time you die is not the day you're buried. It's the last time the last person says your name for the last time. That is impact. That is immortality in itself. That is living forever, which also I like to, sometimes I tie this concept of immortality and mortality very closely to living forever. Because if we were immortal beings and we were not mortal, and we did not know that we have a certain time on this earth to do certain things to make an impact to humanity, do you think we would? Because it wouldn't bother us. We're not in any rush of anything. I'm here for another thousands of years. Let me just wing it. Let me go with the flow. But that whole concept of being these mortal beings, and something very, very fascinating happened the other night. I was sitting with the same guys that we were having breakfast with on Sunday. And one of the guys turned around to me and says, yes, Arash, you've become quite a happy, I feel like you're in a good space, happy, jolly, jokey guy. And I'm sure you also picked that up from my sense of humor, from how we had breakfast over the last years. And, to me, my answer to him was that I said to him, Bud, but I remember days of being depressed. I remember days of being sad and not being happy and not seeing that I'm going to make any difference to humanity, and I'm not going to help anybody, and I'm just going to coexist with the other 8 billion people on this planet. So for me, I find myself in this good space because I find myself on this journey that I want to make an impact by doing something to the investment industry that's never been done, that I will forever be known as the guy that contributed to the evolution of humanity within that sector. So for me, that word impact, you got it. That is my answer to that one. In regards to how do we better ourselves, it's such a scary thing, bettering yourself, because the measurement of bettering yourself is not supposed to also be external. It's also supposed to be internal of, am I better than I was yesterday? But what are you measuring your I was yesterday to? Because what is that goalpost? So for an athlete, it would be that he ran the 100 meters in 10 seconds yesterday. He managed to do it in 9.99. So a split second. Beautiful. I have bettered at what I do. For a banker, it might be that he had 5 clients that he was taking $100 off of last week, and now he's got 10. So he's bettered his financial goalposts. So yeah, Adi, you take over on the how do I better myself one. That one I'll throw it back at you.
Okay, so I'll deal with how do I better myself. I think that one has to decide whether it is important to do things in the public eye or whether it is important to do things at home. It's a very difficult decision to make. We all want to better ourselves for the sake of what it will look like externally. This stemmed from our days in school, the pressure to fit in, the pressure to be liked, the pressure to be included, the pressure not to be made fun of, but rather to be feeling good all the time because those that are doing things we are participating with them. And so a lot of the stuff, either at school or after school, was really about when I bump into those people or when those people see what I'm involved in, will they feel that I've improved? Because if that is the case, I will agree that in fact I've improved. Now, we're all guilty of that, unfortunately, because if that is not the case, then we would go live on a deserted island somewhere and we would try and make improvements to the deserted island and nobody would ever hear what we've done. And we would feel
True.
good about it, but nobody would ever hear that we've improved. So that's the one part, is an external improvement. And I think we're all guilty of that. I'm also guilty of that. The other one is doing things that improve us. And I'm talking to myself, is where you sit at home and you study philosophy books and you get involved in learning and things where you know that in 5 years' time you'll be wiser, you'll be more enlightened, you'll be able to see perspective better because you have improved. So the one is internal, the one is external. So the question was not what is improvement, because I just gave a bit of a broad stroke on what is improvement. There's external and internal, but rather how do we improve, which is a much simpler question to answer. So, or how do we better ourselves? So my thinking was not more.
But can I ask you something there on that one? Do you believe in, have you ever done much research on something known as the Dunning-Kruger effect? Have you ever read up on this concept?
Never heard that in my life.
Okay. As my brother, I want you to read up on something known as the Dunning-Kruger effect that I also implore the viewers to give a read. The Dunning-Kruger effect is the scientific result of the summary of why intelligent people are always trying to learn more and underestimate their capabilities because they believe that something that I or Rush can do in the finance space, maybe Adi can do it. Something Adi can do in the actuarial space, he believes that because he can do it, you've undervalued your capability that you believe others can do it. Therefore, you're always on this journey to constantly evolve and learn more. And as you're saying, to better yourself by getting more perspective. Then, on the opposite side of the spectrum of the Dunning-Kruger effect, they have proven why stupid people overestimate their value because they believe they know everything. They are firm believers that when their mouth opens, what comes out of it, it is a fact. It is something that they know. And they often try and impose it on others in a manner of, I'm more intelligent than you, therefore what I have said makes more sense than anything that you could respond with, which, it's kind of like, let's word this nicely for the viewers. It's what's happened in the social media world. You've got a couple of fools. They've learned how to do one or two things. They've become so ignorant and arrogant to the fact that they could be wrong and there are people that would know better than them, but they just become firm believers that because they know that is the edge of knowledge in humanity, they figured it out. They figured it out. That's in summary, the Dunning-Kruger effect is that intelligent people have learned that we haven't figured anything out, which is why you will see monks at the age of 90 or so, they will tell you, I still don't know, I'm still learning. Where you have ignorant 19-year-old kids on social media telling you they do know. And I think maybe my opinion on your question, the way to improve yourself through this journey that we call life would be the acceptance that you haven't figured it out. You still haven't learned what you think. What you think you know, you still don't know. Carry on learning, carry on exploring, carry on trying to understand more perspective. Try to understand the thing that you might slightly know. How do you get to know it better before you get to speak on it? You know, and I'm sure you and I, we've seen this many times when we've sat in rooms. It's always the stupidest guy that talks the most. You know this. It's the intelligent guys in the room that are always quiet and they're like learning and they're trying to figure out what is this like saying? What is that guy saying? How does this make sense to what I think I know? And then there also comes this curse, I guess. And a lot of people, intelligent people have this curse where intelligent people are being proven to be the least happy of people in the world because they always they get to see things for what the world really is. They get to actually see what's happening there. They're not ignorant and obnoxious to this realm that they've created, that the world is unicorns and rainbows. And yeah, give this Dunning-Kruger effect. It's known as the Dunning-Kruger effect. Give this thing a read. It would be quite a good read for you there.
Yeah, I mean, it is fascinating. I'll try to find like an audiobook version or even just a digital ebook version. I'll put it into one of the programs and it turns it into audio. Not much. I don't actually enjoy reading, even though, believe it, I actually wrote a book, but I don't enjoy reading. So,
same as me.
So, yeah. So if I'm able to find the audio, we can look at it. Okay, so that is sort of, what does improvement mean? I always believe we should reinvent ourselves every year. We should always try to do new things every year, work-wise, especially, and this is a work show. Because ultimately, as I've written in some of the chapters in the book, the disruptor knows that complacency is the reason that they were able to disrupt others. True. And so they don't want to ever be complacent because that means that somebody else could disrupt them. So I think that improvement is really about an attitude of continuous learning, and that doesn't mean watching soccer matches and sports matches because you're learning what's happening in the league. That's not, there's different types of learning. Okay, so that's improvement. And then, on the impact side.
But also that ties in what you just said about complacency. That also ties in with exactly what I have trademarked. I've actually trademarked my formula to success, which I've written in my book. And the same way Einstein has E equals mc squared, I've trademarked the formula to success, and I stand by my trademark as the formula to success, which is L equals SA squared, meaning that limitations equal solution-based actions multiplied by infinity. Thus, meaning that wherever there are these limitations within our scope and our realm of reality as humans, is where your solution-based actions should be, because there you've seen that people are complacent to what they have said, this is the limit, it can't be done. Therefore, focus your solution and take action to it, multiplied by infinity, obviously action doesn't just happen one day. Numerously take action to where you saw the limitation, and there you will actually find your formula to success, because it's been proven. Almost every single person that across religions, from Judaism, Islam, Catholics, Christians, Buddhism, politicians, scientists, that the universe is limitless. We've all come to the simple conclusion that there is a higher, well, not all. We're still debating that there is a higher being, that many people still don't acknowledge it, but nobody has ever disputed that the universe is limitless. Meaning that, where's the limit? When somebody tells you that because we're so complacent, and your wording is perfect, we're so complacent to how things always ran to where they were, we don't believe that this other thing that you're speaking of can be done. Therefore, we've put a limit on it. But how do you put limits on something in a limitless universe? It's the same as Steve Jobs wanted to get a computer in everybody's pockets. He did it. Elon Musk wanted to reland a spaceship. He did it. Julius Caesar wanted to conquer all of the barbarian tribes to unite us all under one. He did it. And exactly like I keep saying, is that your basis of your formula to success is that those guys that were told that there's a certain limit to this thing that they cannot do, they pursued it with action, and they overcame the limit. They overcame those complacent, relaxed guys that said it can't be done, and look at the success it created for them. It's very fascinating. We live in a limitless universe. That I stand by. That you can quote me by.
Yeah.
Whether we're all still debating if there is a God, and you and I have had many chats about this, there isn't 75 different gods. It's one God with different names to different people and different followings within what different perspectives allowed you to follow. So there can be lots of debates around that, but there's never a debate about the universe being limitless. Thus, there's no limits, Adi. They really aren't. They don't exist.
I agree with you. Some valuable points, and I try to absorb as much as possible, from what you said. Some of the formula and stuff goes like this. I try and understand the best I can.
Yeah, it happens. I'm a fast talker, but that's why I am where I am. You know me.
Very nice.
I talk quick.
Very nice.
And I will tell you something you said to me on Sunday. Until the day that I die, I will never forget this. I said to you in front of, the high individuals, because we were at a table with some very high individuals, let's call it that. And I said to you, Adi loves me for my brain. And you said, no, Rush, I don't love you for your brain. I love you for your heart, because the brain will always slip. But as a good human, I know that your intentions are good. I must tell you that days later, after telling me that, myself and the individual that you spoke to as well for an hour, he also overheard it, and he said that is one of the nicest compliments a friend can give to another. So I must thank you for that one. While we're off the topic.
Thanks for reminding me, because you're right. It's actually a beautiful thing to say. And I'm gonna try to absorb that as well and reflect on it. But it is beautiful words, and reflecting on it now briefly, I definitely agree with those words in principle, and of course referring to you. So I'm also going to think about that, because I don't often think about that stuff, so sometimes stuff comes out of my mouth. It's not because I've thought of it before. So I'm definitely going to also think about that.
It just goes, huh?
Very nice. Okay.
Beautiful.
So when it comes to impact, I think that there's different levels of impact. Sometimes We are able to provide housing for people, food, travel, livelihood, what other people consider massive, for us, it's not a life changer for us, but it has massive impact on them. Some impact that we have is on those that work with us, that maybe we provide work for, income. That's an impact. And then, of course, we have, when people look at us as an example of how things should be, should they do right or wrong, we hope that in our community, smaller community and larger community, that the impact that we have has the right, it resonates correctly, so that other people can, try to see and learn positive lessons from that, and hopefully they then also improve, and then the impact multiplies. But what I think at the heart of impact is, who are we impacted by, and who are our icons? Because I think that this will dictate the direction that we take our impact. If we are impressed, we meet friends somewhere, we meet somebody, hey guys, come back to my holiday home where I have a yacht. Woo! You go back there, and now they have this phenomenal yacht. And okay, you go on there. Now you start to understand the way this person thinks, their philosophy of life, how they treat others in business and in life. And you notice that, in fact, as a person, they might look to impact, they might look like they have the right impact, but you choose not to follow that direction as being impressed. Because ultimately, choosing who you are impressed by and who has an impact on your life is very important. I got that wrong in my 20s, and I followed the wrong people. I was impressed by the wrong things. So I think it's so important to try and decide, what impact do we want to have on the world, but where did we get that vision that is a positive impact? What makes a great leader? Is it that they saw someone else who was a phenomenal leader? Why were they a good leader? And they followed that, and then that became the impact that they themselves had as a leader. So I think that you can have you can be selfish in chasing the impact that you're going to have. I built the biggest house on the ridge. Look at me. When people look at me, they say that person is amazing, richest person in the town. You have an impact. Or is it that you're going to chase that? You'll have an unbelievable house, unbelievable. But when people talk about you, what are they going to say? Are they going to say?
And I was about to say that, but is that not arrogance? Is that not that people want to feel important without actually doing anything for humanity? That it's about the yachts.
Yes,
and
it's
the big
selfish.
house
Exactly. That's
and
what I'm saying. So you get a selfish impact.
you
are selfish
that
about why you're
self-importance.
Definitely.
It's that
exactly.
I'm so important. I'm so important. But if you go outside of your own city, people don't even know you by. They don't even know you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think it's a tricky balance between. You see, what I've noticed is that people peak too early in trying to make an impact. That's a major problem. What you cannot do is have nothing going on in your life, no business, no nothing, but then every single waking moment that you have, you're in a soup kitchen feeding people, and you're always standing outside Pick and Pay and collecting cans of food for people. So the problem is that you will have an impact, but it's very limited, because you yourself can't even pay your own rent. That's a major problem, because you peak too early. Yeah, so there's a tricky balance between being slightly selfish and actually creating a life for yourself where you yourself can be impactful. So you have to be slightly selfish, excuse me, in your ambitions to grow
Yeah,
yourself. But then
the
you can have a
intention is
greater
good, but you're
impact
pouring
later.
from an empty cup.
What's
Yeah.
that?
The intention is good, but you're pouring from an empty cup. How are you
Pouring
planning
from an
to put
empty
people through
cup.
school?
100%.
You're trying to put people through school by having a foundation while you haven't made money for yourself yet. It's pouring from an empty cup. The intention is phenomenal. I applaud people doing it. But yeah, you often don't see them get that far.
And you can also get addicted to doing that because it makes you feel good. So what happens is that you will feel good, but your impact doesn't actually, it could be great. You haven't reached your full potential. So I think that impact is a balance between being slightly selfish and not peaking too early. Okay. Having the right icon and chasing the correct North Star of what impact actually means. And then I think that if you do get into a position where you can be impactful, is to try to do so in a way that you feel your legacy will stand for. Now, I don't think it's fair. You get a lot of these people who are happy clappies. Their whole life is dedicated towards doing good for society and climate change and fixing the earth and happy clappies, like they're literally hippies. Okay, and they just want to help the world. Okay. So my point is that I can't relate to that because unfortunately, I'll be honest, I'm actually so far away from that. I'm still stuck in that selfish phase where I'm still trying to build up myself so that one day I can have an impact. What I can't always talk about charity work and how I'm helping to build homes and I'm spending my Sundays helping people at the soup kitchen. The honest truth is I haven't peaked yet. Maybe I also am a bit too selfish. Well, I'd probably rather ride my motorbike in the sand dunes and then be helping at a soup kitchen if I had to be perfectly honest. And maybe I'm just talking to myself that I need to also strike a balance. But the key is not to peak too early when you have your
Yeah,
impact.
but Adi, that's your form of happiness. That is, and no one is to judge because, as a religious person, you and I both believe in it. It is only for in the kingdom of heaven that one can have opinions of another. That is a very powerful saying that people often overlook. You cannot call somebody else selfish because they chose to ride their bike in the dunes after working very hard for the week to look after their family rather than being at a soup kitchen. And you also cannot call the guy in the soup kitchen, oh, you're such a hippie tree huggery when you don't work during the whole week to make enough money so that you could actually help these people properly. It's you don't we as humans don't get to have opinions of others. We don't. I'm a very, very firm believer of this. We can have little comments here and there, but they're not supposed to be these embedded opinions of, and I often hear this, like when people talk and then someone will say, oh no, that guy's a rubbish guy. What are you, Mother Teresa? What is the moral ground that you get to say that person is that? Oh my God, Donald Trump is a this. Have you looked at the other presidents that were doing things in America and invading countries and killing people? Maybe if this guy stole a couple of millions, those guys stole a couple of billions, at least this guy didn't kill people. What is the opinion? Where's this opinion? Where is this entitlement that humans have, that they get to have opinions when others do things? It's always fascinated me, and I always draw it back to a saying that I live by. It is for only in the kingdom of heaven that one gets to have opinions of another. And not many are in that kingdom of heaven, my friend, trust me. Not many are there.
Absolutely. And I just, I kind of want to just finish off by saying that the most important thing when it comes to impact is What do you want to be remembered for?
Your legacy. Yeah. What is your legacy? Adi, you there?
Yeah. I don't know the answer
You're
to
there.
that question. I'm still trying to work it out.
Yeah, I'm biting my nails, waiting for my co-host to give me the answer. So don't look
I'll
at me.
tell you. I'll tell you what I do know. What I do know is that I'm in a position these days where I've got a bit more momentum, and I want to be remembered for having built something of value. And I'm in a position now where that seems to be playing itself out. We're building a business of value, a business which will hopefully last 30 years, a business which will improve the lives of those that work in it. Building something of value. Definitely, I'm not going to be isolating myself in a country where I'm not interacting. I'm an extrovert, so I'm not going to be going to live
I
in
know
a
this. Yeah.
country.
I know.
I'm not going to live in a country where, the value of their currency is very, very low. I'm going to live in a compound. I'm going to be a recluse. Nobody's going to get to know who I am. I like to engage with people. I like to have fun. I like to play tennis. I haven't played in about 10 years, but I like to play tennis. I like to
You
ride
like
my
to play
bike. I like
tennis?
to kite
Yeah.
surf, and I like to interact with people. So hopefully, as I'm building something of value, I will meet other people that are also building something of value, and I can make good friends, good acquaintances, have good positive conversation about things, not about people, and together we can build something of value. And that is pretty much that's the impact I'm trying to have. It's I don't think it's pie in the sky stuff. And I want people to say, when they think about me, he was a good guy. He wasn't a fool, and we're impressed with what he built. Like that's kind of what I'm aiming for.
And it stood the age of time. Many years after you're gone, your brand is still there. Whether it's your personal brand or it's your business brand, something is still there. Something that people can say, Adi was the one that did this, and we still got it. Yeah, it's noble, you see, but then again, I must challenge you to say that's your perspective of impact. Everybody's is going to be different. Mine is different. Yours is different. The Sheikh of Dubai is different. His impact is that he's going to build a city that looks like it's from the Jetsons. I'm not sure if many of the younger generations remember the Jetsons, but that is the Sheikh's vision, where you're going to have everything that you could ever imagine. But what does that impact come at a cost of? Then there's also the cost of your impact, which is something I've been meaning to say for 20 minutes of from when you asked the question. What is the cost of impact? Because Steve Jobs' impact was a telephone in your pocket, but the cost is borderline slavery labor. Julius Caesar's impact was uniting Rome, but the cost was many people were killed, pillaged, and raped and robbed. What is the cost of the impact that we leave on to others? And again, who is one to have an opinion of another while they are on that journey, just because we are not on that journey? So these are all very, very complex questions. But I think at the end of the day, we as human beings all want to be known for something. Even if it's the bad guys, even if it's the train robbers and the cops and robbers, they also want to be known. They want to be known as something, because in their moral compass, as you pointed out, the North Star of the vision, that was their vision. That was what they wanted. They believed they were in the right. Who are these people to regulate me and tell me what I am doing is wrong? You know, everybody's legacy and dream is to be known and remembered for something. But you have hit a very, very, very interesting generation where everybody wants to become important and known without doing anything. And I don't know if it's that social media created it or fueled it, but you don't get Usain Bolts anymore. Usain Bolt says, I trained for 10 years to become famous in 10 seconds. Where is that generation now? Where is that mindset? Nobody wants to train for 10 seconds anymore. Everybody is taking pictures in front of other people's cars and houses and homes and pretending it's theirs as the facade of I am important and I must be praised and I must be remembered and this is my impact and I am well known through social media. My impact is a facade. They believe their impact is correct. They believe that their facade of a life that they don't live, that they create for you to live, which might motivate you to want to actually reach that life, which even they don't live, that might be their impact. They believe they're motivationally inspiring you to become what they wish they were. Yeah, but then again, everybody is allowed to do as they wish, and everybody is allowed to be on their journey as they wish. I have come to the conclusion that opinions are just little things to write notes on. Don't really take them too seriously. Because, like you said, in your 20s, you believed in the opinions of the wrong people to follow. So did I. My friend, for many years, my role models were not, I wouldn't call them even role models of even a small caliber looking back in hindsight. But it was the living that taught us that person that we believe is the Jesus reborn is really not. So now let's try and find the next person that we would idolize to learn from. And then when you start learning the perspective with that person is also now being extracted, then it's on to the next person to idolize. Let's see what I can learn from this person's perspective. Yeah, Adi, life is a very, very funny, interesting journey, I must say. I'm blessed because I get to say God loves me, deal with it. That's kind of my mantra at this stage. I have been saved and protected and enlightened through many, many things. And at this stage, only a fool, having lived the life I have, would not believe in God. Like, you would have to be stupid after all the things I've been through to not say that there is some higher being that does care for us. Maybe he doesn't get to you in time. Maybe your time and his time are different. Maybe you thought he was supposed to save you 20 years ago. He saved it for now, 20 years later. But yeah, I guess we were put here to figure it out, right? And that's why he also gave us free will. He gave us free will to figure it out. He didn't give us a remote control. He didn't give us a walkie-talkie to speak to him every 5 minutes, every time something doesn't make sense. He gave us free will to figure it out.
You know what? I don't have all the answers. What I do know is that if you surround yourself with the right people, you can go places.
True. Very, very true. Very, very. And I've learned this. You and I, we spoke about this on Sunday. This, where I was in 2022 and where I am now, you wouldn't even think it's the same person. Many people still don't believe. They still remember me then. They're still talking to that me that they still have the version of. This is very, very true. Very true.
So I'm gonna love you and leave you, Arash.
Yeah, let's do it. Next week we should have a few guests. Today we tried out having our stream across all 5 platforms. And let's see where the show takes us. And my brother,
So
as
here we
always,
go. Here comes
here
my
comes
boy,
trouble.
Yeah, I've got
Come, Adi,
kids
thank you for
knocking
your
down
time,
my
my
door.
brother.
Yeah, I've got a whole bunch. There we go, my boy.
Go for it.
Got kids
Beautiful. I will
coming out
chat
of
to you later,
every
Adi.
room in the house, my friend.
No,
We'll
you
be in
decided
touch.
to have fun. Adi, thanks a lot,
Take
my
care,
brother.
right?
I'll chat to you later.
Nice to chat.
Thanks.
Much
Bye.
love. Ciao, ciao.